following announcement has been paid for by the WZWA Network.
How y'all fucking doing out there? And welcome to the WZWA fucking network. And welcome to my review show here of Impact Emergence on August 12th, 2022 from the Cicero Stadium in Cicero, Illinois. I think I pronounced that correctly. If I did not, in the comments, chastise the shit out of me. Again, we're back again for another edition of Impact Wrestling, another pay-per-view. As I've said for the last year, since we reviewed Bound for Glory last year, I think Impact have the best product going in wrestling today, brother. In comparison to the other companies, and they're kind of like a wrestling's best kept secret kind of thing. And I've been saying this for a long time, and even to the point where our boss Luke, he still just doesn't understand how great Impact is right now. He won't give it a chance. So moving forward here, I don't have Jooseyboy here with me today. He has been watching the pay-per-view. We were supposed to review it together, but here's the thing, right? I had a hard week at work, a very difficult week at work, very stressful. And, I finally get to my weekend and I kind of want to relax. And I kind of want to get this review done, as Jooseyboy has other things going on this afternoon. And I just want to kind of put my feet up because I know tomorrow I've got to fucking review XPW as well, which is no problem at all. It's not a problem. I'm excited for it. But let's talk about the show here. Let's talk about the countdown to Emergence. Yes, I did watch the pre-show. There were 2 matches on this fucking thing. The Digital Media Championship on the line. Again, I've said many times, I don't like that title. I think it should be called something else, and then I might care for it. I just don't understand what this thing means. Is this like a new version of the TV title? I don't know, but Brian Myers is the champion, and he defends it against Bhupinder Gujjar. Geez, I hope I pronounced that properly. I had it down earlier. I knew how to pronounce it earlier. But Bhupinder is getting a title shot here against Brian Myers. Bhupinder looking like a very fit young man. He looks like he's in great shape. A determined individual here taking on the most professional wrestler, Brian Myers. So I thought Myers cut a good promo before the match was to begin. And I liked the outfit, Brian. I liked it kind of looked like the White Power Ranger. I thought that was pretty neat. I didn't write many notes. The only thing I was thinking of during this match, of all these like Indian pro wrestlers that have come out over the years, there's been plenty of them that have come out over the years, especially more recently that it's been more, I don't know, more guys have been coming out of the Performance Center, or, TNA did the Rinka King thing. And I still think the best character in the history of pro wrestling that was an Indian character is Tiger Ali Singh. I just feel like that was the best character. And I feel like a lot of these guys, they're just thrown out there just as they're just a wrestler. I think Bhupinder needs something. He needs something. He needs a gimmick. He needs a character. And I'd have to say, I do pop for the fact that there's a guy on the Impact roster who's Indian and his name is Raj Singh. Like, the guy's such, you might as well call him a white guy John Smith, Okay, so the finish was excellent, especially with the part with Bhupinder. I guess he was trying to pull Brian Myers from the corner. Myers had his hand on the middle turnbuckle pad. He ripped it off. As he got rolled up, he pushed Bhupinder with his feet, which slammed Bhupinder's face right into that exposed turnbuckle, and Myers got the win. I like it moving forward. Another good video package here for the Taya Valkyrie and Rosemary taking on Vexed, which is Chelsea Green and Deonna Purrazzo. Um, and it was interesting seeing this change in Jessica Havoc. She's no longer kind of over the top with the makeup. She's got pink hair. I actually think this is a good thing. This is something different, something that will be interesting going forward with Decay. And I assume it could lead to some sort of Havoc and Rosemary feud, which I would be very interested in seeing. One thing I wanted to say before getting into the match here, I thought that the Chelsea Green Mickey James feud should have ended on a pay per view. They built that thing for a long time, and I know that they did a blow off match on Impact Wrestling on the weekly show, but I thought that thing built for quite some time, and it should have ended, you know, with a big time pay per view match. But I guess they have had to pivot because the women's tag team division is slim as fuck. And so, anyway, getting to the match, I didn't like that Chelsea didn't come out to her sexy theme song. I loved that song. Uh, I thought Green kicking Jessica in the back and when she kicked her in the back, it smacked. She smacked into Rosemary and it popped me. I didn't write many notes for this either because, you know, sometimes I just don't. Sometimes I just sit there and enjoy the fucking match and then just think of what to say on the spot when I'm talking about that match on the fucking review. Um, but this was good. This was good. I still never understood the teaming of Valkyrie and Rosemary, but then again, I don't watch the weekly show. I've tried. I have tried to watch the weekly show, but when I watched it, I was like, didn't really do it for me. It's the same with NWA Power. I've tried that recently. It just didn't grip me. AEW pisses me off. WWE pisses me off. NXT makes me sleepy. It's not any. I don't. Maybe it's on me. Maybe I just have watched too much wrestling over the years. Anyway, back to this new Impact Women's Tag Team Champions or Knockouts Tag Team Champions. Vexed, Deonna, and Chelsea. You can't keep gold of Deonna for too long. I'm telling you right now. And once again, I think that Impact need more women's tag teams and they should bring the Hex from NWA in for a program because I think they're a very good tag team. Moving forward, finally, the main pay per view here, Impact Emergence begins. It's the X Division Championship match to open the show like it does so often. Mike Speedball Bailey takes on Jack motherfucking Evans. I hope nothing but good for Jack because I think he's had a bit of an interesting trot over the last couple of years, especially the Hardy family office and some issues he had in Mexico and all that. I felt like he wasn't really given a whole lot in AEW that made him interesting, but I thought he did a good job here in this matchup. Tom Hannafin and Matt Raywalt, I think they have become a great commentary team, I must say. I was disappointed when Stryker and D'Lo were kind of split apart, but I kind of understand it now. Like Tom is pretty good, I think. And Matt has definitely done well. And I find it interesting that he's retired now to focus on this. Maybe he's just realized, you know what? I need to go down this path because it's clicking, motherfucker. I think Jack Evans needs to really, and I felt it a little bit here, but he needs to start focusing on his character because as the years go on, he's not going to be able to rely on all of the high flying as he gets older. You can see it in some guys where it's like, oh, he's not quite like he used to be. And that's not a knock on him. It's just age. It's just what happens. So I think if he wants his time in pro wrestling to be prolonged and he wants maybe a bigger spot at this stage of his career, he should really zero in on the character stuff and figure out a way to continue to make himself relevant as he kind of maybe pulls himself away from some of the high flying moves that he does because fuck man, that's just going to break down your body eventually and you're going to be a mess by the time you're 50 years old. So another thing I want to say, people judge Impact on their small crowds, but I truly believe one day they'll be able to get a much larger audience if they just continue to be consistent, and they are always consistent, and they're doing the right thing. As far as I'm concerned, they're doing the right thing when they're having these pay-per-views. They're not doing it in the fucking impact zone or in the same location all the fucking time. No, they're going around the country. They're having these shows, these pay-per-views in different areas of the country. Boston, Chicago. I think they did one in Poughkeepsie recently. They've done a whole bunch of these fucking things in different places. That's what I think one of the major problems with Impact was years ago, was the fact that they didn't leave the Impact zone. They were always there. And maybe they might have had to cop some smaller crowds for a while, but I think if you keep on doing that, eventually it will build. If you build it, they will come. Uh I thought it was a pretty good match. And it's what I've come to expect from the X Division. I think this was the best I've seen of Jack Evans, and I'd only really seen him in AEW. I did not see much of his work prior to that. I thought the finish was cool. It was quite dramatic, and Speedball continues his fucking run right now. Very interesting shit. Honor No More. They're backstage. This angle that has been great. It's been a great run for this group. I was concerned that maybe this would on No More would be no more after this. The lighting for the backstage promo was fucked. You could barely see anyone properly. I don't know if it was just maybe my computer screen not being angled correctly or some shit. But I thought it was good. Moving forward, Steve Maclin, who was on fire a few months ago, and I guess I don't know, they pumped the brakes on him a little bit because they were busy with other shit going on the show. He takes on Sami Calihan for this big grudge match. I thought, this is good. They're finally getting Maclin back on the trajectory he needs to be on. I thought, again, it was so funny because I've said this about Sami a few times. When Maclin hit that back suplex on Calihan on the ring apron very early on, again, Calihan went up like a bag of shit. I bet you Sami's vertical leap is fucking terrible. And I'm not knocking him because, he's a big boy, so he shouldn't be expected to have like a fucking Mark Jindrak, a vertical leap. But I find it funny that he goes up so fucking heavy. He's like, you see Bully Ray get fucking picked up, like that guy fucking goes up. When Sami goes up, does he really even really go up? I mean, it doesn't seem like it. They fucked the ref up together, which I popped for. I like it. I thought Moose was going to come out in a ref shirt. That's how shit my booking can be sometimes. Well, booking on the fly anyway. They went into the crowd. They're brawling. Man, the dental work on some of these wrestling fans. I got some pearly whites. I've got some pretty straight teeth. But fuck, some of these people in the crowd that just I'm not trying to be rude, but they're fucking gargoyles, mate. um, they cut to a package after the brawling through the crowd. I guess the match never really got started. I thought, what the fuck is going on here? And then I wrote, surely the match will continue later in the show or throughout the show. So maybe they're just doing something a little different for once, and instead of just having the match. So you know what? Props to Impact for thinking outside the fucking box. Moving forward, Violent by Motherfucking Design. Eric Young and Dina with Joe Doring at ringside take on Chris Sabin and Kushida. Uh, I don't really know what to write. I guess because I haven't watched the TV. So it can be difficult because I'm not watching the TV. Sometimes I do skim through the promo videos because I want to get the pay-per-view done. Because again, this is my Saturday. This is my Saturday, and I've spent my Saturday by myself in my computer room watching a wrestling show. And I want to kind of get through the fucking thing. Thankfully, this was only like 3 hours long because some of these other pay-per-views go fucking 4 hours. Anyway, let's get back to the match. Impact, I do appreciate the E for effort. They're promoting their micro brawlers, they're promoting their trading cards. But I think to myself, who buys these things? Um, like, I don't know why that's something that popped in my head, but I'm like, who's like, man, I got to get all the Impact Wrestling micro brawlers. I've got to get that shit. Don't know why. Maybe I'm just being an asshole. Um, I got more invested in this as the match wore on because at the beginning I didn't really care what was going on. So this was props to them. I thought that this match was better than the Wolves versus Motor City Machine Guns at Ric Flair's last match by a fucking mile. That match at Ric Flair's last match, I thought that was boring. I loved the ending here. I loved Joe Doring's interference when he shoved Kushida off the fucking top rope. It popped me. It was so fucking horrible. And Joe did that one thing, and it changed the course of the match. Thank you. Eric hitting a sick jumping pile driver to get the fucking win. I'm glad that Violent by Design went over. I wonder what is next for them. I'm interested to see where they head next. Hubba, Gia Miller backstage with Vexed. Uh, there's a few issues with the audio early on. That's okay, not a big deal, not a bad promo at all. And the only thing I'll say is that, damn, Gia is very pretty, bro. Um, moving forward, Kenny King comes out with a chair. He calls out Heath. I thought Kenny was all right in the mic here. He's a little bit shaky. Um, he thought Heath came out, but no, it was Sami Calihan and Steve Maclin still fighting, and they came out fighting through the crowd, which was enough of a distraction for Heath to lay Kenny King the fuck out. But I have to say, I hate that move, the wake up call. I think Heath, I don't know. You know what? Keep the move, okay? Just I don't know. I've never liked the zigzag or the wake up call as he calls it. I just don't really. Anyway, this thing's weak. I just think it's a weak move. Gia comes out for an interview with Heath. Not complaining there. Good stuff from Heath. I thought the crowd got behind him. He did a good job, and it was more heat for the big multi-man match, motherfucker. Moving forward, Rey Horus taking on Bandido. So maybe Bandido is probably, maybe, possibly on the outs with Ring of Honor now. Maybe Tony didn't hire him with the other 175 people that he's got on his rosters. So yeah, we've got a lucha match here. You know what? You know how I feel sometimes about these ones, because of the choreography and the clear kind of, you can see them cooperating with one another. Um, Not a bad beginning to the match. It's good, but again, it came across with a bit. You just tell the choreography was there, and the impact of certain things that weren't hitting their mark. Like let's give it a good example. Like, because they're thinking of so many things that they got to do one after another. I think Bandito was thrown into the corner, and Horace charged at him, and Bandito put his foot up, or the other way around. And the way that, that's just one small thing, but the way that, like, the foot was up and the person sold it, like, oh, and they turned around, and I was like, nah, you didn't run into that foot very fucking hard, bro. Like, that foot didn't fucking like smack you in the fucking face. You know what I mean? Like, it just feels like some things aren't getting that fucking proper impact, or at least the look that there was impact, because they choreographed so much of it, and they're thinking of so much stuff that sometimes some of the selling or the execution of something doesn't quite hit the spot. I'm being hypercritical there, and I'm being very nitpicky, but I have to be, because I need to make this interesting. I can't just be like, oh man, how great was this? Or, I can't stand wrestling fans that just think everything's great all the fucking time. It's not, okay? You have to call things out for what they are. Anyway, Bandito with an Eddie tribute. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, but it's getting a little bit old. It's not on him, but like, AEW recently, there was, I think, some sort of anniversary, like 4 matches, people did tributes, and I'm just like, sometimes I feel like you're doing it for a cheap little pop, like you want to get the fans to pop for you. So let's do this, Horace with a sick dive. I really liked that, because it was the way that they went about it was a little more realistic than you usually see from a dive, instead of the person just standing there waiting for the cunt to jump on them, you know. Bandido moved, and when Horus, he was bouncing off the ropes to do that dive, and then when he came off, he saw Bandido move, and he changed direction, and then he charged back across the fucking. Oh man, that was dime bitch. Uh there was a DDT out of the corner that was fucking nuts. It was like one of the ones where they spin around the person and then they end up hooking them for a DDT on the ropes though. That was crazy. There was a fight forever chant. I do this every time. I wish you fans would fuck up with that shit. You don't want to see them fight forever. You want to see them fight for an appropriate amount of time because we've got other shit to get to. Thank you. I've always thought that was a dumb chant. Bandita gets the win. It was a sweet finish. Let's move forward. Be still my beating heart. G and Miller backstage with Moose. Moose is been a great fucking heel that he's been for this whole time I've seen Impact. I'm very impressed with him, and I would not be surprised if WWE come knocking soon because I think they need another kind of big African American star on their roster. And I think Moose has all the qualities that they're looking for. And I think he should go there at some point. Anyway, he's interrupted by Calihan and Maclin brawling. What do you know? What are the fucking odds that would happen? Moose helps beat the fuck out of Calihan. I love that Gia was screaming, like it really sold the situation. I wrote, "Where's security, man? They've been fighting through the fucking building for like an hour and a half now. Someone fucking split this thing up." Then D'Lo, as I'm concerned about this, sends security down. Then Scott D'Amore interrupts. See, I like it. It's layers to the segment. You're getting different pops from different things, and you're escalating the situation with little things like that. So I thought that this was a very well done bunch of sequences with this angle between these two on the show. Steve Maclin fucking bleeds after Scott D'Amore makes this a fucking no DQ match. I thought this was different for sure. The fucking when Sami fucking threw the fucking steel chair full pelt at Steve Maclin's head, and his head just popped through the chair, and the chair was just dangling around his neck. That was fucking sick, dude. Calihan wins. Interesting finish. I really think that they need to ensure that they keep Maclin on the correct trajectory in his time in Impact. But, I'm not offended by the win for Sami because he did lose to Moose at the last pay-per-view. Having a sip of water before I get to the 10-man tag of Honor No More versus the Bullet Club. I'm so thirsty all the fucking time, and I've done nothing today. Nothing. I'm a bit annoyed that Jay White came in for a few months there and won pretty much almost all of his matches and then left. I don't know if that would mean I get it. Maybe you wanted to kind of attract some of those Bullet Club fans and hope that they stick around after Jay leaves. But I just feel like I'm not sure because I thought Jay was going to stick around and maybe move up into that main event kind of scene, considering he was getting all these big wins, and maybe he would put over the walking weapon, Josh Alexander. I think that should have happened. Maria leaves before the match begins. I can see that Maria's got herself into some really good shape. That I don't know. I could just tell that her body's changed a little bit over the last few months. She's looking really fit these days. And you can check out my interview with her on the Insider's Edge podcast on this YouTube channel. Just search her name. Let's keep going on with this match. I have to say, I have to pick on Ace Austin and Chris Bay a little bit here. I have to pick on them a little bit because they had all these little double team moves that they were doing. When they'll do something like someone will snapmare someone down and the other one will jump off the ropes and do a drop kick. And then after he's done the drop kick to the seated guy who's now flat on his back, another guy will come up with a flying elbow drop. And then the other guy will do a flipping senton onto him, whatever. They'll do a quick exchange of different things one after another. Sometimes, that's cool, but sometimes they make it so overcomplicated where one guy's doing a springboard fucking kick to the face or whatever, and another guy's it's just simplify it. You don't need to do all these little things. Like it's too overcomplicated, and you end up making it look a little bit weak. It's not realistic. It's not sometimes. It's just not. I love PCO fucking Chris Bay up. I thought that was sick. The choke slam onto the fucking ring apron. All right, here comes PCO, that fucking sick cunt. So he gets his little spot. Here come the dives, everyone. Here come the dives. Matt Taven being launched out the ring by Hikuleo was great. I thought this was it was starting to get real wild at this point. I kind of alluded to it before, and I want to say it again. I am so sick of people springboarding to do something shit. Okay. I can't remember who did it. It might have been Matt Taven. It might have been Ace Austin. I can't remember which person it was, but someone fucking springboarded, and after they springboarded, they did a kick, like like a side kick. And I think someone might have been holding the person that got that sidekick. And I just thought to myself, why don't you just hit a fucking sidekick? Because the springboard didn't really add much to it. It's not like you sprung and when you sprung back, there was a heap of velocity behind it. No, you kind of hopped onto it and you floated in the air for your little kick. Stop springboarding. Fuck, we're getting too far into this shit now. Like it's really bad. I just think I think I've got it written down somewhere. I hate when they grab him by the back of the neck and they throw him off the ropes like that. Everyone's doing it now. Stop. Whip them. Whip them. Trust me. Me and my friends, when we were in primary school or elementary school, we would call it the impossible whip, where you would do an actual real Irish whip and see how far you could actually make someone, go before they can stop themselves. We found it fucking hilarious because like it actually works. If I grab someone by the head and do that, because that's all they do that. It's not realistic. Sorry. Stop doing it, everyone. And I know no one's going to listen to me. Anyway, PCO taken out by Gallows in the audience. I like this. This pay-per-view's been great. Impact, they don't plod along like WWE do. Vincent with that swanton on Gallows through the table was nuts. And then Gallows was up like not long later, kind of no-sold the table spot. It's not a big deal, but anyway, the drama continues. Honor no more. Thank fuck they won the match, man. Thank fuck they won this match. Really, I felt like it was. I didn't want that group to be broken up yet. I felt like it had more time, and it'd be great if they were able to fucking put even more people in the group. But maybe this is where it is now. This is where it's at. Moving forward, second last one, everyone. Thank you for joining me again. We're probably going to end up between 30 and 40 minutes long for this review. Knockouts Championship, Jordynne Grace defending the championship against Mia Yim. Just gonna give props to my friend there, Scott Armstrong, as referee. I call him my friend. I've never spoke to him in my life. Not sure if I cared too much about this going into this, and it's not the lady's fault. I just think it's because I felt Jordynne's title win was a little out of nowhere when she won the belt at Slammiversary. And I say that even though I still, once again, don't watch the weekly TV show. So maybe I should shut the fuck up. But, and I like Jordynne Grace. I like Mia Yim. Maybe I really need to start watching the weekly show. I don't know. It's just, there's only so many hours in a week, man. Like I'm getting into Peaky Blinders right now, and I know the new Game of Thrones is coming out soon, and I know Handmaid's Tale's coming back, and I know that Better Call Saul's got a few more episodes left, and I know Walking Dead final season is coming back. Fuck, man, what do you want from me, everyone? What do you want from me? um, the first thing that kind of got me a bit excited about this was that running sit down powerbomb from Jordynne Grace. That was really great. It got a big pop from the audience. The fans again with the "This is awesome" chant. I'm sorry, the match was good, but it sounds like these days these fans go through the motions and give chants that they don't really mean, but they just do it because it's like habit. This is awesome. This is, it doesn't, will you be like, this is awesome? You know, you'd be maybe even sing it like I just did then, but you'd be fucking yelling, this is awesome. Not, this is awesome. It's just, it doesn't sound like you think it's that awesome. Stop doing it just for the fuck of it. The chop battle between the two when they're on their knees, I thought that was lame. I didn't think that that looked good at all. But Mia hit a sick tornado DDT. The women's wrestling chant, I'm sorry, but it's just, I appreciate the fact that they're trying to tell the ladies that they like this match. It's just weird, don't you think? Don't you think it's weird that we're cheering because this is a great match? Shouldn't it be we're fucking booing someone and we're getting behind someone else? I understand that maybe Mia and Jordynne are probably both kind of baby faces or whatever. But it seems to have, and it's not just this match. It happens more often than not that the fans are chanting for the fact that it's a great match instead of being like invested in the fact that one guy's a fucking asshole and one guy's a good guy, and you want that good guy to win. Like, I know how people are. I know the NWO got cheered back in the day. So what the fuck am I talking about? But still, I just worry that this is all people care about now. All we care about is watching great wrestling matches. We don't care about good guys and bad guys because it doesn't fit the vibe anymore. Shut up. Okay. Um, Grace Driver, great final sequence of the match. We get to the end here. Masha, I'm going to get the name wrong. Is it Masha or Masha? Slamovich comes out. I don't know who she is. I think she comes from MLW. I've seen her once come out and I can scare the shit out of Tennille Dashwood. And what the fuck's going on there? What happened there? Is because now fucking Madison Reigns in AEW. So I'm guessing the influence, yeah, the influence are broken up now. I don't know. What the fuck, man? I was digging it. It seems like the Impact every time I'm starting to dig something, you know, some sort of thing that's going on, or a particular guy like a Jonah or a Morrissey or, you know, inspiration. Uh, you know, the next thing, they're gone. They're gone. They're out of the company. Or it's done. On to the next fresh thing that we got to start from scratch. Anyway, that's just me complaining, for the sake of complaining. A guy tried to start a holy shit chant because Slamovich gave Jordynne Grace one of those envelopes which has the picture of the person in it with fucking blood or red paint or whatever it is on him. He tried to start a holy shit chant over the handing over of an envelope. One guy, no one else joined in. You want to know why, dude? You want to know fucking why? Because she was handing her a fucking envelope. What did you think? Oh man, holy shit. Fuck you, dude. Okay. Now it's starting to pop me that you started a holy shit chant over a fucking envelope. Let's get to the main event, motherfuckers. Thank you for joining me again. The walking weapon, Josh Alexander, the Impact Wrestling World Heavyweight fucking champion, defending it against Alex Shelley. I was surprised to see Alex getting the title shot here. And I'm also thinking, like, I'm wondering where this Josh Alexander title reign is headed because it seems like a lot of the pay per views, since he beat Moose for the belt, it's been like kind of like one and done, next person, one and done, one and done, one and done, one and done. I don't, I think we're getting to a point now where we need Josh to be in a fucking feud with someone who's a real contender. And I really hope that it's not fucking Matt Cardona. I'm sorry. I like Matt Cardona, but I just I've had he's not a top guy in my eyes yet. He's trying, and I understand that he's trying, but for me, it's not there for me. You know, upper mid card, sure, but I don't see him as the tippy top guy, your world champion. You know, maybe it's WWE's fault for depicting him so terribly for so long and woo woo woo, you know it, bro. Like it's really I hated that for so long. Like That's why I have a hard time with it, because that goofy Zack Ryder character. It's a shame because I know he's really good and he's doing his best. Anyway, I was surprised to see Alex getting the title shot, but I was intrigued by the matchup here, despite them both kind of being baby faces, although Shelley's kind of hinting to be more like a heel. I like the story with Alex having never won the big one, but his tag team partner Chris had. So I found the situation interesting, bitch. Josh Alexander. Again, I wonder if he'll go to WWE one day because they need someone like him, the way that he portrays himself and has the emotion on his face, the way he cuts his great promos, the intensity, the character. I think this guy eventually needs to go there now that Triple H is running the fucking show. Hopefully things will be on the up and up, and people like a Josh Alexander will be more interested in going there because they'll go there and I might actually get used to their full fucking potential. Because you don't have a fucking 76-year-old fucking man who only sleeps like 2 hours a night for the last fucking 60 years running the show. Fuck that. Okay. As the match wore on, I thought Alex was looking more and more like he could be ready to be left in this part of the card. He just needs to evolve the character. I think he needs to turn full on heel. He needs to change his look a little bit. I think he needs to fuck over Sabin and Kushida. I think he needs to really fucking like become obsessed with becoming world champion. Then I can see it. I could see that idea of that story kind of working, but I don't think they're going there with this. The final sequences of the match were fantastic. I fucking enjoyed the shit out of this. Josh retains the championship again with the C4 spike. And I think he is the #1 world champion. Once again, I say it again, he is the #1 world champion in pro wrestling. I think he's doing a better job as a world champion than Reigns, which Reigns is doing good, but he's not showing up very often, is he? Moxley and Punk, that whole thing's a bit weird right now. Like, I don't consider an interim title to be a world title, so I think I've always thought that was dumb. Who else is there? Alex Hammerstone. I've never seen anything of his. I should watch MLW at some point, but I just haven't. Braun Breaker's pretty good too, but I think his reign is getting a little boring. So whatever. This is about Impact Emergence. And I really like this. But what is next for Josh Alexander? What is next for the walking fucking weapon? I gotta know. Something's got to happen. Something big needs to happen. I want to see something take place that really grips me and gives me another story like the Josh Alexander, Moose, Scott D'Amore story from earlier this year and late last year. I think we need more shit that intense for the walking fucking weapon. Anyway, there we have it, motherfuckers. There's my review show here of Impact Wrestling's Emergence, and I'm going to give this pay-per-view an 8 out. No, that's too much. No, a 7.5 out of 10. Yeah, as soon as I said 8, I was like, no, that's too much. 7.5. I think 7 might be too small. This was a good show. I enjoyed it. Thought the progression of the stories was great. Thought we got some surprises. I thought some of the stuff like Calihan and Maclin's shit throughout the show, threading through the show was great. The build to the Honor No More shit with the Bullet Club was also great. So there we have it, 7.5 out of 10. Thank all of you out there for joining me, Karlifornia, here for my review show of Impact Emergence on August 12th, 2022 from Chicago, Illinois. And we will see you down the fucking road. Thank you.
Network, that's the way we play. Good God Almighty. Network, that's the way we play. Get puppies. Network, that's the way we play. Get.
The following announcement has been paid for by the WZWA Network.